This is Vic. He just made the mistake of his life. On any given day, Vic preys on the weak and gets away with it. But this time, he picked the wrong target. See, those miners were part of the resource division of a large corporation, the key moneymaker for a major industrial alliance, led by one of the wealthiest men in the galaxy. With a bounty that high, he has to run. Because everybody with a trigger finger and a taste for cash will be coming after him. Some he can fight off. Others he can outmaneuver. But today, Vic is about to get caught by the most savage hunter of them all. Me.
Online Retribution. Revenge is just the beginning. Try for free at trial.eveonline.com.
Good evening. What is up? That is the trailer, actually, that I saw on YouTube that made me want to try EVE Online. So I just thought you'd like to see that. That's what got me playing, basically. So I added that in there for your benefit. Basically what this is going to be tonight, not going to be streaming the game itself, but what this is going to be is EVE Online. What is it like as a new player? Someone in the stream the other night was telling me that there are a lot of podcasts, a lot of web shows about EVE Online, but almost all of them are focused on endgame players, people that have been playing the game forever, people that are already doing null sec and low sec everything. And he said basically what those web shows boil down to is nullsec politics, which is paint drying, basically boring, and there's nothing to basically show what the game is like as a new player, just entering. So that is what I am going to be doing this evening. Is basically I've been playing the game for just a little over a week, maybe a day or two. I started on the 28th, so a day or two over a week, and basically tell you what the game has been like for me so far. But that, I just wanted to show you the trailer there that just got me interested. This looked badass as hell. So that's what I saw on YouTube that was like, oh, try this game. So basically, when I first logged in, the first thing that I was presented was the tutorials. There's like 5 tutorials at the very beginning of the game. There's like the primary tutorial, and then once you finish it, it moves on to like career tutorials. So you get a tutorial for mining, you get a tutorial for exploration, a tutorial for combat, a tutorial for advanced combat. So the first thing I would suggest anyone joining into the game fresh is do all the tutorials. Not only do they get you pretty decent starter money, and I think I ended up the tutorials. I had about 6 or 7 ships you end up getting from them. You get a few frigates, you get a freighter, you get a really decent mining ship, and you also get a whole bunch of skill books. So it's really important to do all those tutorials, which someone actually told me as soon as I logged into the game, and was asking people about stuff. They're like, oh, you do the tutorials, it'll teach you how to play the game, it'll teach you everything. And it pretty much does. It gives you a foundation. It doesn't really teach you everything, but it does give you a foundation. But talking about the tutorials is another thing you have to mention along with the tutorials is the learning curve of the game. Someone in one of the chat channels in the game, I'm actually trying to join EVE University, and I've been in their public EVE University channel, and someone in the EVE University channel told me that it's not a learning curve, it's straight up. But I actually found a better graphic to demonstrate EVE Online's learning curve. And this is basically it. You can see at the bottom, your normal MMOs have a nice gentle curve. EVE does not. EVE's curve is death. There you go. That is what EVE Online's learning curve is like as a new player. Even from what they've told me, they've changed it a lot, made it a lot easier for a new player to get into it. They give you like training certificates that show you what you should be training. So when you choose a ship, it like will tell you should have these training certificates trained, and that gives you a basis, a foundation of what you should try to train, which is really good, because otherwise you'd be lost as hell, to be honest. So that's just what I thought the learning curve. Someone showed me that picture one night when I was streaming, and I just thought that pretty much summed up Eve's learning curve in one little picture. There you go. So as a new player, the first thing you have to worry about, luckily I did not, thanks to a whole lot of really nice people that watched my stream, but the first thing you got to worry about is making some money. It's basically that way in any MMO. Eve is no different, although Eve is a little bit more focused on money than most MMOs, and that's probably just part of the draw to the game. Is it's really focused on making money, getting stuff. And so as a new player, the first thing I attempted was mining. No, mining is definitely not for me. Mining is boring as hell. It's like floating in space, shooting a rock. I mean, I've heard people say that once you get it trained up really high, it makes really good money, but it's not for me. I can't stand in space and shoot a rock for hours upon hours. Although you do get a lot of other stuff done at the same time, because while you're shooting the rock, you can be watching YouTube videos or Netflix or whatever. But mining was not for me. However, it is very good just coming out of the tutorials because of the ships that you get in the tutorial. I don't remember the name of the ship the tutorial gives you, but it's a really nice mining ship. It has space for 2 mining lasers. It has a really good ore hold in it, and you also end up with the training you need to run it coming right out of the tutorial. So someone coming fresh out of the tutorial, that mining ship and some mining would be a good way to make some quick money. I think I ran it one night for about 20 minutes to half an hour, and made almost $1 million ISK just running the trainer ship with the bare minimum free modules that the tutorial gave me to put on that ship. So that was not bad. Well, it's thundering here. Hopefully the power doesn't blink and we lose the stream. That would suck. Basically MMOs, Eve is no different than this. MMOs are broken down into 3 main activities. There's money making or crafting, mining, whatever. Basically things you do to make money. Then there's PvE, killing NPCs, that kind of stuff, raiding in other games. And then there's PvP. I have not tried any PvP yet. I do have a ship set up for it and fitted out for it, but I have not attempted it yet. When someone wants me to go along, I can come along and give it a shot. Really don't care if I lose the ship. It didn't cost me a whole lot. So have not tried that yet. But what's funny about Eve is it seems to me that a lot of the end game is actually PvP. There's not a lot of PvE end game. Your main purpose at the end of Eve, the end game of Eve, is to basically kill other people in nullsec. That's all. That's what it seems to me, that's what the main end game is. Now what's nice about Eve is that you can really get into PvP early. I mean, you don't have to train for a year to be caught up with people that have been playing for 10 years. You can train into being a tackler, which is what the ship I have is. You train into being a tackler. It requires very minimum skills, a really cheap ship, really cheap fittings, and you can actually be semi-useful. I'm sure that you wouldn't be the best at it, but you could, I don't know the word I'm thinking of, but you could contribute to what they're trying to do. If you're part of a small fleet or whatever, you wouldn't be completely useless. You wouldn't be taking up a space that would be better used for someone else, which is kind of nice. I like that concept, that the way they made the game is that if you really focus on one training path, pick a training path and train it, focus it, specialize in it, then it won't take you very long to catch up with someone that's been playing the game for 10 years. Because the skills, once you get to level 5 or level 4 on the skills, you're the same as someone who's been playing forever. The skills can only go so far, and then they can't go any farther, which is kind of nice. But the PvP in the game has really, really surprised me. Now, let me just give you an example of what the type of endgame that coming into EVE I was used to, and that is basically like raiding. I'm going to use World of Warcraft as an example just because a lot of people have played it or heard of it or seen it played or tried it out. So it's a game that a lot of people know. Even if you've never played it, you know about it. So this is what raiding was like in World of Warcraft.
No, that wasn't. That was because of you, Dita.
I don't. I can do much else.
You have to hit it with something.
Yeah, but
I have played EVE for just a little over a week.
Yeah.
We gotta switch.
Yeah,
Don't it.
Got him.
DPS of Cobalt.
Now, I thought that was complicated. That was endgame. That's like endgame rating. That's what it's like. No, it's definitely not. Once you get to EVE and you see some of the endgame, in EVE, it makes that look like kindergarten by comparison. So, for instance, someone linked me a really good, it was a factional warfare video. I don't know where it took place or how long ago or anything like that, but they linked me this video and was like, watch this. This is what endgame is like on EVE. So,
Primal first primary, then we're going to go for the Omen of ATR. Primal, then ATR. Keep over hitting your guns.
whoops.
Then BAY, no, Omen is primary, the Omen's primary now. I didn't lock it.
Now, as I watched this the first time, I was like completely gobsmacked, basically, as to what the hell is going on. What are they talking about? What are they calling out? It took me, I think, two playthroughs of watching this to realize that the target caller is calling like the first 2 or 3 letters of the name and the ship type, and that's really about it.
Here's the secondary. Overheat your guns, guys. Overheat your guns. Don't burn them out. Keep overheating. Piz is your primary. Secondary is going to be the vector of OTZ. OTZ is secondary. Piz is your primary. Secondary is going to be the vector of
So that's what they told me the end game in EVE is like. And then someone else linked me another video that basically showed the size of what EVE's battles can be like. I mean, in a game like World of Warcraft or a Final Fantasy XI, you know, Star Wars: The Old Republic, when you do end game rating, you basically have at the most 20 or 25 people. Can fluctuate game to game, like World of Warcraft's 25, Final Fantasy XI's 18, but it's always around 20-ish people. And that's your end game. You do it with like 20 to 25 people, and that's basically how it's run. And then someone linked me this video, and I watched this one. Now this is all within my first week of playing that they're showing me this stuff. And this was just... I've watched this one through 2 or 3 times just because it's unreal of how many people end up fighting in this.
Give me a new invite.
Yep, it's coming up.
Check. All units on the Leviathan, bumping on the Leviathan.
Do I light immediately? Wait. How far? I'm 28 off the Leviathan. Do I light?
Get a bit closer than like when I tell you.
Do we have a point on the Leviathan? 23 off of him? 22? I'm burning out, mate. I'm on top of him.
I'm 18. A Zerovian is 18. If somebody
I'm in
needs
the
to
fleet. I'm in the fleet. I'm ready to fucking light if I need to light.
If somebody needs the...
Jumps. Check. Confirm we have point on Leviathan.
We have point on the Leviathan, but the Hick is going down fast. Vince is going
Drop
down
point,
fast.
drop
We
point,
need
get
another
wrapped, you
hick.
haven't bumped.
Yeah, drop point and get webs. We need another fucking
One
hick.
second, more.
Somebody bumped the Leviathan. Quick, quick, quick.
More
Okay,
bodies.
Still
okay.
bumped.
Somebody, we need. Do we only have one hick?
Yeah. Yeah.
Fuck.
Light sign, light sign, light sign, light sign, light sign, light sign. Do it, do it.
Sun is up. Sun is up. Sun is up. Sun is up.
Body burn at the Leviathan. All newts on the Leviathan.
Leviathan is below half.
What's capacitor on Leviathan?
Less than half, 56,000.
Perfect, perfect, perfect.
Keep him pointed. Keep him pointed. The Sino is up. The Sino is up.
So I watched that video a few times, and then I was reading on like actual like news sites that it's the largest online battle in like gaming history. 3,000 pilots, and ended up. I haven't read any like finalized amounts, but at the time the reports I read, the estimated damages was 700 billion ISK, or they translated it into 24,000 like real life dollars worth of damage done during this battle. And it's just, as a new player, that's just like, really, 3,000 people. That's like 100 World of Warcraft raids all at the same time, which is just insane. Yeah, you can. I don't have links disabled, so if you want to link something, you can go right ahead. So that's, as a new player, that's the first thing I really stumbled into, was just how different the endgame is. The endgame is really PvP focused, and not PvE, which is what most MMOs endgame is. Most MMOs endgame are, raids. You raid to get better gear, and that's just not what EVE does. You basically kill other players just to kill other players, I guess. I've also the first week I've been getting a lot of suggestions about corps to join. One I got was EVE University. Someone told me that EVE University is like a really good new player corporation, which is like the EVE version of a guild. So a really good new player corporation. Their application process is a freaking nightmare, though. It took me about I filled out the application the first night I played, I believe it was. I filled it out, sent that in. It took them like 3 days to read over the questionnaire and submit the questionnaire and all this stuff. I got an email in the game saying, okay, I can join their interviewing queue now. So I've been sitting in the interview queue ever since. It's been about 6 days now that I've been sitting in the interview queue, and I've never queued higher than I believe like 4 is about the highest I've been able to make it so far. And I've told a couple people that it's just crazy. I've gotten real life jobs dealing with like real life money that weren't as intense and as long as what the application is to join an in-game, like a game corporation, a guild basically, which is just crazy. So I've been doing that pretty much every time I'm logged in. I'm sitting in the queue for EVE University. I don't really pay much attention to their chat channel because some of the people don't seem like, I don't know the word, not very helpful basically. So I just kind of just watch to see if my name comes up anywhere. Is really the only reason I'm sitting in there. But I did one thing they did tell me when I finished all my tutorials, I was just like, I sat around going, well, what do I do now? And when I asked them in the EVE University public channel, they're like, well, do an epic arc quest. And I'm like, what the hell is an epic arc quest? So they explained it's like a long chain of quests that you can some of them can be repeated. The one I did was the Sisters of Eve. They said that's usually the first one that new players work on. So I did go through the Sisters of Eve quest line. It was really interesting, actually. Pretty decent story. Had you running all over the freaking place. It was pretty good money. Did do a lot of or standing, get a pretty good standing from it, and a lot of not a lot of money, but decent amount of money for a new player, basically. So that's one thing I would suggest. If you finish your tutorials and you're just like you don't really know what you want to do next, then move on to the Sisters of Eve stuff. Now you probably will need help. I did for the last couple of fights, the last 2 or 3 missions. You have to fight 2 guys that I just wasn't able to beat. I mean, they weren't killing me, but I just couldn't do enough damage to them to get through their armor. I could get their shields down, but I couldn't do any damage to the armor. It would do a little bit of damage to the armor, and then it would heal right back up again. So for the last couple of fights, you probably would need help for it. And then after that, you sit around and you're going, well, what do I do now? Which is probably one of the only drawbacks to like a sandbox, do anything you want game. Sometimes you don't really know what you want to do next. You just kind of, what do I do now? You sit and you spin your ship around and you look at your character in the captain's quarters, and people joke about that. They're like, well, my ship spinning skill's level 5 now, because when you don't really know what you're doing or what you want to do, you sit around and spin your ship around. Another nice thing about the sandbox game that I've not seen it in action, but I've read a few things about it, is that you can basically do pretty much anything. I mean, the company that runs the game is real, I won't say soft, but they allow a lot of stuff to take place that most other MMOs would ban you for. There's very little that I've seen that will get you banned from this game. I mean, you can rip people off, you can scam them, you can steal from them, you can grief, gank. I mean, and most MMOs won't put up with that. If you, like in World of Warcraft, if you keep killing the same player over and over again, eventually you can report them to a GM and get them like 1 day banned. In EVE, it's perfectly fine. You can kill them however many times you want. And they won't say anything about it. So, I guess that's, in a way, that's good, because that's what real life would be like, which is what EVE is supposed to be, kind of what it basically is supposed to be like, is like a real life type of a thing. So people could do that to you in real life, therefore they can do it to you in EVE. Which brings me to my next point, is when you're a new player, you really have to watch out for people scamming you, especially when you're trying to buy stuff. When you're trying to buy stuff off of like the auction house or the market, in the large trade hubs, like Jita was the first one I came to that's like a major trade hub. People were telling me, don't just purchase the thing and click yes and take it, because people will purposely try to rip off new players by messing with the prices. For instance, there was a Rifter at Jita, and I think the average price for a Rifter, I can't remember the exact amounts, but it was like 200,000-300,000 ISK, something like that. And there were Rifters listed at Jita for $1 billion. People just trying to sell them to see if they could get people just to bite at $1 billion ISK for a frigate, which is insane. And I was telling one of the people that watched the stream that, they're not very good scammers, though, because what brand new player to EVE is going to have $1 billion ISK unless you like sold Plex or something like that. So you do have to watch out a lot for the scammers. They will try to get you at every turn, and a good rule of thumb in EVE is just assume everyone is trying to get your money. It's not always true, but it's better to assume that it is. Just assume everyone's trying to get your money. This is what I've learned as a new player. Assume everyone is out to get you. Everyone you meet in space wants to kill you. So when you come up on a ship, assume it is not friendly. It wants to kill you. It wants your stuff. It wants your money. So that's just that flows right into another of EVE's main rules that I've been taught in my first week, is like the golden rule. The primary #1 rule of EVE is, if you can't afford to lose it, don't fly it. So that's one thing the guys have taught me for the first week I've been in the game, is if you're afraid to lose it, don't even take it out of the hangar, because someone's going to eventually blow you up. Now, I have not been, luckily for the first week, I have not been killed by any players yet. I've been killed by pirates or rats a couple times doing mission running. where I just I just couldn't jump out fast enough or whatever. But luckily so far I have not been killed by any players. Now I don't know if that's just because I've mainly stayed in high sec for the most part, which is Eve like breaks down their zones basically into a different security status, anywhere from 1.0 to negative 1.0. Anything 0.5 or higher is considered high sec, which means if someone attacks you there, then basically like the Eve police, the in-game police will attack them and kill them. Anywhere from 0.4 below is basically free game. You can 0.4 to 0. I think the only difference between that and like no security or null sec is that you can't use, like, I think they said like something like you can't use warp bubbles, which I don't know what that is yet. Warp bubbles or anything like that in low sec, but you can use them in null sec. Like I said, I don't know what that really is yet. I haven't learned that part yet. So I think mainly I haven't been killed by players because I've been staying mostly in high sec areas. I've only wandered into the 0.4 and 0.3 a couple times while I'm traveling, and I'm really careful. Like when you pop into the system, there's a scanner you can run. It's called a directional scan that tells you what's around you, and then you can narrow it. Like if you are going towards a gate, this is the way I do it anyway. I don't know if there's a better way, but this is just the way that I've figured out to do it. When you first come into the system, you do a 360-degree scan, which shows you everything around you, and then I point my ship towards the gate I'm headed at, and I do like a 5-degree scan, and it will tell me if anything is in that direction towards the gate I'm going. That's just how I do it, and then I just keep doing it a few times as I'm flying, just to try to see if there's anyone at that gate or not. Now, but I haven't, like I said, I haven't gone into low sec very often. Once or twice, and that's about it. Just while traveling, where, like, for instance, today I was going to get something, and it was 24 jumps. But if I wandered into like 2 or 3.3 systems, it was like 12 jumps. So I just did the 12 jumps just basically to save time, because the game is humongous. It's huge, which brings me to someone last night asked me what were the 5 things I liked the most about the game and the 5 things I disliked the most about the game so far. So far right now, a couple of them kind of are both. They're likes and dislikes. For instance, the size of the game, the space. Space is both. I love how they handle space. They made it feel like space, like it's humongous, it's huge. There's a lot of it. There's lots of areas. If the first time I pulled up the map and someone told me every one of those dots is a system, that's bigger than any MMO I've ever attempted to try to play ever. It's the game universe is just huge, which really lends to the feel that you're in the middle of nowhere. You're in the middle of space, which is what Eve should be about. But then again, it also is the other side of the coin, where because it's so big, it takes forever to get anywhere. Like if you got to go from one point to the other and it's like 30 jumps, that's like 40 minutes of real travel. Real life 40 minutes to get from here to there, and there's no like fast travel options. You could set your autopilot, but it actually makes it take longer, and it gives people a better chance to kill you on the way. So I tend to not use my autopilot at all. I was told, like in low sec, if you go into low sec, don't use your autopilot at all. Just avoid it. High sec, you can kind of use it, but since people can still kill you in high sec, it's not quite as good. Yeah, someone's saying jump clones. I have tried doing jump clones a couple times, but because I'm still new and my standings are all really low, no one likes me enough to let me install one anywhere. So I basically have not been able to do jump clones anywhere. But basically, what a jump clone is you can install a clone in like this station here, and your main clone is over here, or your main player is over here. You can then jump into this person once every 24 hours, play as this person, and this person over here is still fine. So like you can put implants in yourself to help your stats. So your main one over here has your implants in it, but you're in this one over here that has nothing. So if you get killed in this one, you don't really lose anything. And then you can come back to this one and have all your implants and stuff. And they said you can do that once every 24 hours, but I haven't been able to try it yet because no one likes me enough to let me do one. You try to click on the install clone, and it's like, oh, so and so doesn't like you enough. It's like, oh, okay, I guess I won't do one then. Luckily, like I said, I haven't been potted yet. Potted is like, I don't know how many really new players are, but someone had to explain it to me. Basically what potting is when someone blows your ship up, you get ejected in like an escape pod. You're like in an escape pod in space that still flies around as a ship. Well, what happens is if someone then kills you in your escape pod, they kill that body and you wake up in your clone, wherever you have your clone installed. You wake up in your clone and continue about. But the problem with that is any implants you had in your body are lost when you get killed. So when you wake up in your clone, you don't have any of them. You have to get them all again. So luckily, no one's done it to me yet. I've lost my ship to like NPC pirates, but luckily, NPC pirates will only blow up your ship. They won't attack your pod. So I've avoided that so far. But again, that's probably because I have not gone to low sec, which someone told me the other day. I hadn't been renaming my ships. I'd just been leaving them like Matheson Jade. That's my name in game. Matheson Jade's such and such. Matheson Jade's whatever. And they're like, you need to change the name of the ship. I'm like, well, why does it really matter? They're like, well, that's one way that vets find newbies, because newbies don't know to change the name of the ship. And it also lets them see like what kind of training you have, because if it says like, you know, John Smith's this, they can look up John Smith and see exactly what training you have and like all that kind of stuff, how new you are basically. So they know if you're new, that if you're really new, you're not going to be able to fight back as well. So I started changing my ship names after they told me that. Another thing I really like so far, even though what's funny about it is, even though the game is really, let's be honest, it's really cutthroat. It's everyone for themselves. Like you could like this person really well today, and tomorrow, if he can make enough money from it, he's going to kill you. But what's funny about that is the community has been really, really nice so far. Like really friendly, really helpful. Like I've had so many player donations now. People are calling me Space Rich, and I didn't ask for that. They just, oh, here's some money. Here's some money, new guy. It's like, wow, well, thanks for that. It's nice because now I was able to buy ships and stuff and not really have to worry about it. That's something that no MMO I've ever played in has that happen. Now I've had people be, you know, helpful and friendly, but I've never logged into like, you know, World of Warcraft. You never log into a new player and you have someone walk up to you and say, oh, here's 200 gold. Welcome to the game. No, not going to happen in World of Warcraft. So that's been something I've really enjoyed so far, is just the people that I've been talking to in the game. Another like that I've really, really liked from the game is it doesn't have the traditional leveling up. Like you don't level up your character. You set training for them, and the training runs. For instance, like right now I'm looking at my training thing, and I have jury rigging training. It takes 3 hours and 10 minutes. Now what's nice about the training is that it's training whether you're logged in or not. So you set a training schedule and go away, and it trains while you're not gone. So what people have told me is like some stuff takes days, like 9 days, 15 days to train, like 2 weeks of training just to get this thing. So what people will do is they'll set something huge like that when they know they're going to be gone for a long time. Like they go on vacation, they set like something that's going to take 8 days to train. They come back and it's over, which is really cool. No other MMO that I know of has ever done that, where you can basically play the game when you're offline, which is basically what you're doing. It's playing when you're not even online. Another thing that's come up in the past week is Plex. What is Plex? Plex is basically an in-game item that you can buy and sell in-game that is 30 days of playtime. So what you can do is once you start making decent enough income, you can actually pay to play the game by playing the game, which is awesome. So if you get good enough at making ISK in the game, you can pay for your playtime with in-game money and never have to spend a dime on the game itself. And also you can actually go to their website. It's almost like a legal version of gold farming. Gold selling is what it is almost, because you can go on their website, buy a Plex, and sell it in game. So you buy it for like, I think it's $20 or something. I don't really remember, but it's like $20, and you sell it in game. And the last time I checked them, they were going for about 500 million. So it's like a legal version of buying gold, is what it basically was. But I do like the concept that eventually, once you start having a decent enough income, you can pay for the game by playing the game, which is really cool. Another thing that's really nice is that you can go anywhere and do anything, which is what I was mentioning a little bit ago. If you want to be a criminal, you can. It's legal. You can rip people off, scam people. I read a post on one of the forums about someone that ran a Ponzi scheme, and when he got done with the Ponzi scheme, he got away with like 13 billion ISK, and he let like the CEO of the corporation know, and it was just like, yeah, well played, not much we can do about it. And it's completely legal. Most MMOs, you try something like that, they're going to ban you for it. But there's no like class. Like you have most of your traditional MMOs, and you have your warrior, you have your thief, you have your healer, your mage, your wizard, and that's really not the way this game is. You have your character, and you can do anything. You can be like a truck driver, basically. You can be a freighter pilot. You can be a miner. You could be a bounty hunter. You could be a pirate. It's really cool that you can basically do anything in the game. If you can think of it and it would work in the game, you could do it. There's also I know that like the character model itself is not a major part of the game because you just walk around in like your captain's quarters. But the character customization options are probably one of the best I've ever seen. Like the amount of customization you can do to your character. There's just so much you can do. All kinds of different clothes and everything you can do. It's really cool. And the amount of the ship models. Last night, after I finished streaming last night, I was just sitting in the dock just looking at ship models. And there's just so many different things so many different models of ships. It's just insane how many different things there are in the game. Like, now the ships aren't customizable. Someone told me that they kind of wish they could customize their ship a little bit more. So, like, for instance, if you're in a Drake and someone else is in a Drake, they're going to look the same. And that's one thing people said they were trying. I don't know if they said like the company's trying to eventually make it so the ships are more customizable or not. So that's one of the only drawbacks to the different ships is like if you're in this and he's in the same thing, you're going to look the same, and it's kind of a bummer. But it's the same in any MMO. If I've got XYZ sword in World of Warcraft and you have XYZ sword, they're going to look the same. So that's just kind of unavoidable. Mining is another one of those things that goes into the likes and dislikes together. I like the fact that as a new player coming right out of the tutorial, you can make really decent money at it, decent for a new player, not space rich or anything. But as a new player just starting out, if you use the mining ship and the training that you got in the tutorial, you can make a pretty decent income. You won't be rich or anything, but it's like a blue-collar job. You're making like minimum wage, basically. So it's not bad, but you can do that. But then on the other side, I dislike mining just because, oh my God, it's so boring. I tried it one day. I mined for, I think, about an hour altogether, and I think I ended up making about 4 million ISK, which, for someone with no mining training, no like refining training, basically no industry-related training at all, to go mine for an hour and make that much was probably pretty decent. I don't know if it really was or not, but it seemed decent to me to make that much in that short a time with basically no training. But it is just so boring. How could anyone sit there? I mean, I know a lot of people I've talked to, they've told me that they basically have multiple accounts when they're mining. They're running like 2 or 3 accounts to mine, and so they're running all these accounts, plus they're like watching TV or whatever at the same time. And someone told me that basically when you're a miner, Eve is your second job. So that pretty much sums up the mining experience in the way I've seen it in the first week. Is if you want to be a miner, you're basically signing up for a second full-time job. One of the biggest things, like someone asked me, what's the things that's really made me like not what I haven't really liked a lot. One of the things that's really irked me the most so far is the way it handles missions or quests. Like you talk to an agent to get a mission, and you go to do the mission and all that. Most games will give you like a mission tracker in the corner, which this does. It gives you a little tracker up in the corner, tells you where to go and all that kind of stuff. But the problem with it is it doesn't tell you when you finish it. It doesn't pop up something up there like, quest complete or you finished this. You actually have to go in and open up the conversation like window with the agent to see if it's been completed or not. So what I started doing is just leaving it open and minimized so I can pop it back and forth. Now they said if you complete it, it's supposed to like flash in the corner, but I never really have seen it do that. So I don't know if it's doing it and I'm just not noticing, or if I have it maybe turned off. I'm not really sure, but that's been one of my biggest things that irks me is it doesn't give me a clear, like, here it is, your mission is done, head back. It doesn't do that. And like a couple times I've gone and I've done the mission and I've flown around, I've killed everything. It seems like I'm done. Like, what else can I do? I've killed everyone. You go back to the thing, complete. No, you're not done yet. Well, what did I miss? And you have to go through and like read the mission thing to find out what you've missed. And it would be so much easier as if there were just something would just pop up and say, here's your objective, objective 1, objective 2, and check them off as you finish them. But it doesn't have that. Maybe someday it'll have that. I just ran into this problem in the last day or two. Trying to join EVE University, they want you to try to keep the standing with the 4 main factions, neutral or good. The standings go like positive is good, negative is bad, and they want you to try to keep positive standing with the 4 main factions. And I've been trying to just do mission runnings for the money and the experiences and whatnot, but I keep running into missions where they're having me kill or fight members of the 4 main factions, which then lowers your standing with them. So, and you can only decline a mission once every 4 hours without lowering the standings with the agent that's giving it to you. So that's something that I wish there was something that you could see. I could choose this agent and he's not going to give me any faction specific stuff. This agent will give me more. This agent will give me that. Just something that's going to show me these agents are the best to pick if you don't want to kill the main factions. Like if you just want to kill pirates or mercenaries or whatever, these are the ones you should pick, or these are the corporations you should be working for, that kind of stuff. Another thing, when I created my character, I just kind of picked and chose what looked cool. Basically, I mean, there was no like list of any bonuses or any reasons for picking one race over another. Now, when I finally got to the game, they basically said that since you can train into everything, that race choice doesn't really make that much of a difference. Well, that would have been nice to know at the beginning of the game. Like, something, just, I don't know how they could possibly do it. Just to basically tell you that race choice in the beginning is basically the only thing that it's determining is where you start and what you can look like. I mean, there's really no other purpose for the different races other than cosmetic differences, really. Because you can train everything on anyone. Race matters not, and just would have been nice for them to give me something to show me that. Which, like I said, once I got in the game and I was saying, I chose this. Oh, why'd you choose that? I'm like, well, does it really matter? And the person was like, no, not really. We just like to rip on them because we don't like them. So, oh, okay. Well, that's good, I guess. When it comes to training skills as a new player, I found a very useful tool. I will pop it open here. I have it open here in the middle of the screen. It's called EveMon. Basically, what this allows you to do is create different plans of training. I have a plan. I'm trying to fly what's called a Drake. It's a battle cruiser, like a missile. Mainly uses missiles shield tanking, which means it takes a lot of damage on the shields. Doesn't really. It's basically a tank, is what it is. A tank that uses missiles. So I've been training the certificates. If you go into the ship thing in the game, it says like for Drake we recommend these certificates. You should have these certificates trained. And then you can come into this program here, EveMon, which is free. It doesn't cost you anything. You can come into EveMon, plug in those certificates, and it gives you a complete list of what you should be training. It tells you like how long it's going to take. It takes into effect like the implants you have and things like that. So it's really nice for a new player when you don't really know what you should be training. Like I really want to fly this ship, but I have no idea what I should train for it. And this will tell you basically what you should train for it, and it's going to tell you how long it's going to take. And you can make more than one plan. Like for instance, I decided after the Drake, because the Drake has a bay in it for drones, which are little like fighter jet things that fly around your ship and attack stuff for you. They're not controlled by like people. They're like your little robotic spaceships that fly around for you. Well, the Drake has a drone bay in it, and I wanted to do drones. So what you do then is you make the drone training, and then you can go in here and merge them. So then you end up with like I don't think I saved it though. But basically you can merge the different trainings together, and it adds to the link at the bottom, like you can see, and then it's all color coded. So if it's red, it means I don't have the book and I don't have the prerequisite training to get it. So it's been a really nice program as a new player, just to basically plan out what I want to do. And it keeps track of it even when, like, I'm not in the game right now, but it's telling me like what I have set up to train, and it tells me how many skills I have, how many points I have. You can eventually use it to look at like everything you own, where it's at. And you can also get this on your phone. I tried to get it on my phone, but for some reason my iPhone's being stupid and it wouldn't let me like put the API key in. What the API key is, basically it tells outside programs your account information, all except for how to log in. Like it just lets the program read your character information, basically. So they don't get access to your account or anything like that. They can just basically see everything. Now it's telling me I have room in the queue. Anyway, so that's another thing I found as a new player that's been really, really helpful, along with the 6,000 questions I ask a night of the people that watch me stream it. I'm constantly asking them questions about, what does this mean? What does that mean? What should I train? So that's been basically it. That's about, in a nutshell, for the first week anyway, what Eve has been like for me as a new player. What I'm going to do, I'll put this on YouTube also probably later tonight, so anyone who wants to see it, or anyone who is trying to get someone to join, thinks this might help them decide to enter the game or whatever, it'll be on YouTube, my YouTube channel later tonight. The link to my YouTube channel is in the bio on Twitch TV, so you can get to the link for my YouTube channel there. So now if anyone wants to ask me any questions, feel free, and I'll answer them to the best of my ability. You don't count, by the way. You don't have any questions because you think we're all nerds. Yeah, I do plan on playing still. I really have enjoyed it so far. I actually have a training plan set up to finish the Drake, get the drones, and then train into a stealth bomber for PvP. Yes, this is live. It's happening right now. Train into a stealth bomber for PvP because I like the idea of cloaking all around and no one knowing where I'm at. So the training program that I put in according to EveMon, is like 151 days of training that I have to do. So yeah, I do plan on playing it for a while. $280 days. I could probably plan it out farther than that, but I figure 151 is good enough, and I could figure out. I'm sure I'll figure out in the next 151 days that I want to train something else, so that I'll just keep tacking it to the end, and it'll eventually go longer and longer and longer. So I'll just keep tacking the plan to the end of the current one. Like I originally just had it for Drake, and then it's like, well, the Drake can use drones, so I should add drones to that too. So then I added the drones in, because when I just did the Drake training, it was like 50 days, 51 days or something like that. It's like, well, the Drake can use drones, so I should put that on there. You put the drones on, and it bumps it up to like 70 days. And then last night, someone was asking me, well, what do you plan on doing, in PvP? And I'm like, well, I don't really have any plan right now for PvP. I have my frigate I can use as a tackler, and that's really about it right now. I've mainly been focusing my training on PvE stuff, like mission running and ratting and that kind of stuff. So I haven't really focused on PvP. So he was telling me about like stealthing, like scouting, being a scout, which sounded really cool, like sneaking ahead of the main fleet, checking out what's going on. So then I saw the one stealth bomber that Caldari, which is what I am in the game. Caldari's get a I can't remember the name of the ship, but it just looked really, really cool. Stealth bomber. It's actually the ship. Actually, after watching that that trailer again, it's actually the ship at the end that the guy is flying that attacks the guy with the bounty. It's actually that ship. So I'm like, I want that ship. That thing looks cool, and it's a stealth bomber. So I'm like, well, we'll just do stealth bomber and tack that onto the end of what I already had. So now it's up to 151 days. Yeah, what I've been trying to do is like I look at my training list, and when I've gone in and trained like the level 1, 2, and 3 stuff. Like the 4s and 5s I'm saving for the end. So I've just been trying to like get the benefit of the beginning of the training, so it starts to help me PvE better. So you get like the level 1, 2, 3 stuff, and then once all the 1, 2, 3s are done, you move back and you start doing the 4s and 5s because they take freaking forever. Like there's a couple of level 5 skills on there that's like 9 days. It takes 9 days to train something, which is crazy. But since it's doing it when you're not even playing, it's not really quite as bad. Yeah, he's on up there. He's saying the 150 days of training is going to take twice as long. It's actually true because I had it at 151, and I'm training. I'm training the skills in the skill queue, and I went today to fit my Drake, and I was using a fitting guide that someone linked to me, and it uses rigging, and it uses like a medium rigging. I don't know what it is yet, but I was just going straight by the guide, and the rigging required jury rigging and shield rigging. I don't have either one of those, so I had to get those 2 skills, and I've been tacking them. Like if you look at my EveMon, if you look at my EveMon, the jury rigging, I have it's the level 3 is training right now, and then I'll be doing the level 1 of the shield rigging. Well, those weren't in my training plan. Like when you do the Drake stuff, that's not in the training plan, so you have to start tacking that to the front. So I had to tack 3 levels of jury rigging, and then once this is trained, I have to tack the shield rigging into that. So yeah, it'll eventually end up taking longer, just because you start finding stuff like the other night I'm trying to get standing with people, and I'm like, well, the standing is going up real slow. Well, that's because you don't have social trained. It's like, oh, God, another one? Seriously? So then I started tacking social skills to the front of the queue so I could get better standing gains when I finish missions and stuff. So you're constantly tacking 1, 2, 3 hour skills to the front of the queue when you come across them, figuring out that you need them. Yeah, someone last night when I told them stealth bomber, they're like, well, stealth bomber is cool, but only if you're in a group of other stealth bombers in a fleet. Like if you go out in the stealth bomber solo, you're probably going to get face rolled. So I'm like, well, I won't be PvPing by myself anyway because I'm not suicidal in any way. So I'm not going to go out PvPing it by myself. So the stealth bomber will probably work for me because I'd be in a group when I do it. Yeah, I have actually gotten quite a few of the core, like the basic core certificates done. I don't know if I can see them in EveMon or not. Let me see. Certificates. No, I don't think I can look at those in EveMon. I'd actually have to be in the game. But I have gotten a few of the core. Like I've gotten cruiser launcher basic, core capacitor, I believe is one I've gotten. Core, I want to say core navigation I've gotten. I've gotten like 3 or 4 of the basic core certificates. I just can't remember exactly which ones, and I can't look at them on EveMon. No, I actually, when I plugged in the Drake into EveMon, like the first part of the training list was all like the core competencies, capacitors, all that kind of stuff. It was all stuff that was in the core section of the certificate trainer. Yeah, it's something that like you have people coming from other MMOs and they just want to be able to do as much DPS as is humanly possible as fast as possible, and training that way in EVE just doesn't really work. Like you could go into the game and just start training, missiles or turrets or whatever, trying to train your DPS skills. The problem is that if you don't train the basic stuff like capacitor, you're not going to be able to shoot them all very long because your capacitor is going to run out faster. Or if you don't train like your shields up a little bit, you're going to die too fast to do any damage because your shield skills are all crap. So you do have to. I did learn you do have to really lay a foundation of skills before you start specializing, basically. Yeah, I don't think I have tier 2 anything. I don't think I can do tier 2 anythings yet, which is good because they're expensive and I don't want to lose them. And it goes back to the rule number 1 of EVE is don't fly what you can't afford to lose. Alright, well, looks like not really much coming in, so I think I'm going to call it a wrap there. Like I said, I will be uploading this to YouTube later tonight, so if you feel that there are people that could gain benefit from watching it and hearing about the game from someone brand new, the link to my YouTube channel is in the bio on my Twitch profile. So thank you for watching. I hope it was semi-enjoyable and entertaining. And I will see you later on in EVE. Good night.